Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Well, the Wellbeing Science Insights Podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We're champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Lu Ngo, coming to your ears from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's learn together. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Doing Well. We're here this week once again to talk about well-being. And this week's topic is moving your body, boosting your mind. And our guest in the virtual studio is a very lovely guest. She's been smiling since the second that I saw her. And I'm really excited to talk to her about this topic. Please join me in welcoming Abigail to our podcast. And by way of introduction, Abigail Olasehinde is the founder and lead therapist of Belwet Mind Clinic. She is currently the lead therapist of FriendnPal. FriendnPal is a mental health AI chatbot whose aim is to ensure that everyone within Africa and beyond enjoys the best therapeutic services at an affordable fee and from the comfort of their own home. Thank you so much for joining us today, Abigail. How are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Liv. It's a pleasure being here.
Thanks. Hi. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. And I'm just looking at your very impressive background. You know, I think it's not going to do justice if I just read this out. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience, especially, you know, a little more about your professional journey, how you got to where you are today, and why you chose to do this work.
All right. Thank you. In a minute, I'm going to give a quick background about myself. I had my first degree in medical physiology. I could remember in my third year as a college student, I fell in love with psychology indirectly. And what made me think so, or what made me know so, is on one of those days, one of my friends spoke to me and he said, "Abigail, do you know what you just gave me an answer to in less than 30 minutes is what has been bothering me for weeks?" I was like, wow. Then he said, "Abigail, I think psychology fits you more compared to human physiology." I connected the dots. I saw all the truth. A lot of people come to meet me when they are down, when they are depressed, to speak to me, and they give me positive feedback. After 7 years, I re-enrolled to study psychology. And it's been a beautiful journey, full of determination, focus, and passion. Currently, I'm the lead therapist for Belwet Mind Clinic and also the lead therapist for FriendnPal. FriendnPal is an AI mental health organization, just as you said. Our goal is to reach Africa and beyond to ensure that everyone can speak to a therapist at an affordable fee and under a conducive atmosphere. Over time in my practice, I've been able to record over 85% success rate from clients who have given out their feedback. Thank you. And I desire to do more.
Yeah, I'm sure. It sounds like you're, very passionate about the work that you're doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if you keep on adding more to the portfolio of work that you've been doing. It's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing your journey so far. And also for being here and talking about this topic. I think this is something we've talked about probably at least once or twice on this show or on some of the other podcasts at LMSL. But it never gets old. It's something that we don't do enough of, especially, we sit all day, so moving our body is so important for our well-being. Before we start talking about that, we have this section where we get to know you a little bit better through some of your recommendations. And this is called Have You Met Abigail? So I'm going to ask you a series of questions about some things that probably, I think, some of the things that get us to know people better really quickly. So first question, what is a book you would recommend?
All Day, How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be by Jack Halfie. I love the book so much. It's a book
Yeah.
that speaks about the 25 principles of success. And just to give a quick breakdown, taking 100% responsibility of yourself, know where you are, have a goal where you want to be, focus, move with people of like-minded, avoid negativity. I think that's just the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. And I just love how positive you sounded when you were talking about it. So yeah, thanks for that. I needed that today, and I'm sure someone in the audience would definitely benefit from that. I haven't read the book,
Thank
so I'll
you.
put that on my reading list. Thank you.
Okay, here you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, perfect. Love that. I like the idea behind it. And yeah, the book looks like a thick one as well. So lots of interesting insights, I presume. Next question. What is a movie you would recommend?
Abused, though it's I don't know how popular the movie is, but I watched the movie a couple of 3 months ago, and it's made me cry. I can be emotional. And just to give a quick breakdown about the movie, there's a lady who got married to a man whom everybody loves. But they never knew she was going through pain, emotional pain, and physical violence. So he had narcissistic personality disorder. In fact, from the look of things, he had about 3 out of the 5 narcissistic personality disorder, and he was bipolar. And he knows how to calculate his game. When friends are around, he gives his best self. When he's out there, he's like a sweet angel. But he beats the wife all sorts of physical violence. And
Oh no.
she tried to escape. Unfortunately, he's wealthy. And his mother-in-law, that's the mother to the wife, they didn't believe that her daughter was going through assault. Even when she saw the scar, she blamed the daughter for being the cause of the reaction from the husband.
Oh God.
Unfortunately, when she decided to take law into her hand, because the husband actually gunned down a policeman. When she reported the incident to a policeman, he's like a public figure. And they were like, oh, you meet so-and-so, your husband? We are very sorry, there's nothing we can do. So one of the policemen that tried to take a step and action, unfortunately, he wanted to indulge in bribery. So he wanted the husband to give him money, so he's going to keep the evidence, the video, not knowing that the man went upstairs to pull a gun and pulled the trigger at him. Drew him upstairs, kept him under the bed. The wife came back and she tried calling the policeman to ask of updates, only to hear the man's phone ringing, the policeman's phone ringing on the bed. And then she knew that this is the height of it. She went downstairs, stabbed the man. He died. Unfortunately, she was arrested for manslaughter, and she had to face the term in jail. Yeah, I felt pity for her because I know a lot of women who are in the correctional center might be in the correctional center because of this, but no lawyer to defend their case. Yeah, I felt emotional.
Yeah, that's really sad. But I guess, if anything, it's probably going to be a good one to give us more perspective in life, right? Because these things happen, and unfortunately, women are still in this position where it's hard to defend ourselves. And especially with people that are really good at showing their good sides to the public, it's kind of even harder for you to explain what actually happened. Not an easy watch. I could definitely sense, but probably good when you want to gain some perspective. Thank you for sharing that movie. And what about a podcast? I'm not sure if you listen to podcasts very often, if you have a favorite.
I don't listen to often, but I have a favorite. That's a Dear Therapist by Laurie. I wrote the name. Laurie Gottlieb and Guy.
Yes, so, I love Laurie.
So they one way or the other inspire me, and I get a lot of feedback from my clients. I get them to say, Abigail, you make us feel very comfortable while speaking with you. We've visited a lot of therapists, but we are always edgy and defensive. But when it comes to you, we feel so relaxed, like we've known you forever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I really love Laurie because I recently finished reading her book called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And I didn't know that she had a podcast. But yeah, when you mentioned Laurie, I was like, whoa, wait, hang on a minute. I think that is the same Laurie. And indeed, Laurie Gottlieb, that's true. Oh, I have to check out that podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question. Who is your role model? Now, this could be a famous person or could be someone in your life. Doesn't have to be a famous person.
Okay, thank you. My role model has been my parent, my dad and my mom. I would say nature and nurture blessed me with the best parent ever. I remember a lot of times I say, if I can have just 50% of the parenting skills my mom and dad has, I'm made. Yeah, I see the cooperation, the unity, everything. They are my role model.
Yeah,
my dad
beautiful.
And my mom. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I mean, I can see that you turned out really well. So I'm sure you had wonderful parents, and your upbringing must have been great. So yeah, very happy to hear that. And final question in this part: what is a course you completed that left a really strong impact on you?
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's made me understand a lot about action and reaction, value system, how I see myself, what I believe in, which will definitely have an effect on my environment. So regardless of how beautiful the environment is or how perfect the environment is, if my value system is distorted, I'll always see the negativity in that environment. And no matter how bad an environment is, if my value system is up, is good enough, instead of always seeing the bad in the environment, I'll pick up that good in the environment and work by it. Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, oh, wonderful. I think I've heard so much about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's the course that you enjoy the most because it's very on brand with your professional journey. And so let's talk about today's topic. We are going to talk about moving your body, boosting your mind, which I think, in case anyone is wondering, would be fancy terms for exercising, right? And, we were talking about, your work as a therapist and, your work on the mind. But I think it's important to also know that our mind and our body are, so connected. And so, the work we do on our body would help us with our mind too. And I think this is something that I have experienced myself, but, from the perspective of a professional like yourself, it'll probably be even better to hear from you. So first thing first, let's talk about well-being. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about exercising in the first place. So Abigail, what does well-being mean to you?
Okay, thank you. Well-being to me has to do with like a networking. So how do I break the network? In the network of well-being, we have the physical, we have the health. Now, in the network of the health, we have the physical health, we have the spiritual health, we have the emotional health, we have the social health, and I wrote down the fifth one, we have the intellectual health. Now, in the physical health has to do with morphology, what you can see, my growth, my flexibility, my mobility. The intellectual health has to do with my critical thinking, how I reason, how I see you, how I project Abigail. And my spiritual health, it has different meaning to different people. But the conclusion of it is being at peace with yourself, being at peace with nature and nurture, regardless of the supreme being you believe in. And then when it comes to social health, like I said earlier, your value system, how you relate with your environment, how you relate with people in your environment. The emotional health, your psyche, your mind. Now, all of these five, there must be a proper networking. There must be a relationship between all of those five to help me say I have a good well-being. So if any of those five is lagging behind, then it's not good enough. That's my view on well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a holistic view of well-being, right? Because it's not just one thing; it's all of them in combination. So, in your line of work, you said you've talked to a lot of different clients. You put people at ease. I'm sure people open up to you quite a bit, and obviously, in all the work that you do in other areas as well, I'm sure you've done research. You've interacted with people. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you think people have when it comes to well-being?
Yeah, the first is they believe well-being is expensive. And then my response to that is, if you think well-being is expensive, then how expensive we remolding a distorted structure be? And they'll be like, wow, very expensive. And let me link that to a client who says, therapist Abigail, I'm damaged beyond repair. You don't need to bother yourself. A lot of psychologists have tried. They gave up. Therapist Abigail, I'm just being kind. Don't stress yourself. I can see the passion, everything you're putting in. You know the response I gave? I said, I admit that the structure is bad, but I'm very good at rebuilding. So we're going to pull down the structure, and I'm going to rebuild together with you a magnificent edifice. Honestly speaking, that day was the beginning of healing. He was like, wow, that just struck a chord. So if we think well-being is expensive, then remolding and restructuring is more expensive. Then number two misconception a lot of people have is well-being is just about me, myself, and I. It's not true. Because if it's only about you, are you going to be an island? Definitely you need to relate with people. So it's not just about you, it's also about others. Because your reaction to others can predispose them to any kind of illness. And then the third misconception I want to give is, I actually wrote it, so let me just check. They said, money can't buy happiness. I know, honestly speaking, a lot of people actually believe money can't buy happiness. We can say it's true, but I want them to understand that there's a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is from what you can feel, an external factor making you feel good. So it simply means if my bank account is green, always green, and I don't have to think about how do I pay my bills this month? How do I get a maid this month? How do I get a cook this month? How do I transport myself from A to B? It will make me feel happy. And since my financial capacity is high, then it simply means money makes me happy. Money gives room for happiness. Yeah, so those are, to my knowledge, these are some of the big misconceptions about well-being. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Those are really good ones, actually. And especially the well-being is expensive one, because I think a lot of people think that you have to invest a lot of money to be well or to have a sense of well-being in your life. Or some people might go, the rich are probably enjoying a better sense of well-being. Not really. I think it's actually quite interesting because I think there's a course that has been recommended quite a bit on this podcast, which is the Science of Well-being. And in that course, basically, the research shows that an increase in income can make you happier and better, have a better sense of well-being, but to reach a certain point, and then after that, it just kind of plateaus. It doesn't really change much because I think it's truly just, how we spend our time and money in the first place, right? We can have however much money we have and we can spend money on a lot of different things. But if we spend money on the wrong thing, that can just easily diminish our well-being. So yeah, I really like that you sort of mentioned that, because that's important to all of us.
Thank you.
So now let's talk about something that is definitely not expensive at all, but contributes greatly to well-being, which is exercise. How do you define exercise?
Okay, I'll define exercise as a physical activity that's repeated over time. Now, when it comes to physical activity, definitely there will be moving of my body part. And when this is repeated over time, I can say in a regular pattern, to some extent in a regular pattern, but a structured physical activity repeated over time, with whose goal is fixed, whose goal is to help, let's just put it at well-being, whose goal is to boost and maintain well-being.
Yeah, that sounds good, because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the concept of exercising. They're kind of like, oh, if I exercise, I have to go to the gym or do this 45-minute workout for it to be considered exercising. But in fact, it's not really that. For example, a really simple form of exercising that I think we should all do more of is a walk. Going on a walk. Even a 10-minute walk could benefit us greatly, and that could count as exercising, right? So I think this goes without saying, and everyone knows it's super important for us to exercise and to move our bodies daily, if possible. But in the scientific community and in the work that you're doing, especially when it comes to the connection between our mind and our body, what do you say to be the benefit of regular exercising?
Okay, thank you. Now, when it comes to connection between the mind and body, benefits of regular exercises, let's go practical. Let's go with yoga, for instance. When practicing yoga, you are indirectly trying to disconnect your mind from the hustle and bustle in the environment. And this environment also includes those destructive thoughts going through you. So at that point, you are able to reproject and refocus. So take, for instance, someone who is going through a lot of distorted thoughts. By practicing yoga during meditation, he or she will be able to quantify, to some extent, how much wave of distorted thought that passes through him or her in a minute. And it can be so weird. Like, I'm practicing meditation and a lot of voices going through my head. My goal at the moment is to shut them up. So it's a way of trying to gain control over your thoughts and pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like when you're exercising, you feel calmer afterwards, especially when your mind is racing with a lot of thoughts and you're just kind of like, I don't know what to do. And then you go and you exercise and you come back and you're like, I feel calmer now. Now I can think clearly and, break it down one by one. Yeah. So, when we are talking about exercise, it's not anything new to us. This has been discussed many times by I think different sources. I'm sure we might have seen articles here and there. Conversations have been had about exercising, and we know that it's important to continue exercising regularly. And sometimes, for some of us, we sort of go in and out of exercising phases where we exercise really regularly, and then sometimes we kind of slack off a little bit and we don't exercise as much. So what are some of the evidence-based strategies that would help incorporating our exercising routine in a way into our daily lives so that it can be long-term, it can be sustainable, and it would help us to not fall out of that habit?
Okay, thank you. The first is have a journal. Like, have a journal, and in the journal, you could write out your goal. There should always be a why. So why do I want to engage in physical activity? For how long? Yeah. What is the goal? Now, when that why is in place, honestly speaking, it comes with that aura, the passion to keep going, regardless of what's happening out there. And number two, a lot of people find morale when they exercise in company of others. So you could look out for a like-minded friend like you here in my country. On weekends, Saturday, you see a lot of men and women who are 9 to 5 jobs. Saturday is most often their free time. They go to the field, and by the time you get to that field by 6 a.m., you're more or less be thinking like, it's a party about to take place here, or is a tournament about to take place here. You see different people, different sizes, different shapes, different people there. They come there to feel good. Now, when you are exercising with a group of people, of friends, when you're tired, it's to see others exercising. It's the dopamine, the endorphin keep increasing. You keep feeling good, wanting to do more. And then, have a goal. That's the why. A journal, waking out with friends. I think those three, we go a long way. And you could have an alarm can be pretty good. A reminder to always remind you, even if you forgot it, to always remind you. Yeah, pretty good too.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are really good tips, good strategies to incorporate exercise into our routine. I think personally for me, like I find that when I commit to the gym, like I have to go. And this is dependent on, each person's gym or local setup. But my gym has a policy where if you book a class and you cancel the class in that less than 2 hours before the class starts, you have to pay for it. And so I feel like it's like a really good way for me to not cheat. Because, like if I just get a gym membership and go, I might just say, oh, I don't really want to go to the gym today. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. But once I have booked in the class, I have to go. Like today, for example, I was really like contemplating not going, but then I was like, no, I've already booked the class after work today. I'm going to go straight after work. No, it's non-negotiable. I have to go. And I know that it will make me feel better. It will boost my mood. So it's really good that we can try different things, whatever works for us. I think keeping a journal is a really good point. I have not been the best at keeping my journal. I used to be, but not recently. So at least for me personally, I find that, committing to a gym and booking in the class and keeping the, like the exercises, the classes diary on my calendar is really helpful. So in a way, it's kind of like a different form of journal, I guess. We talked about the benefits of exercising and, how it would impact our state of mind, right? And I think in psychology, there's a thing where I saw here in the research, it says that physical activity actually influences the release of neurotransmitters and hormones in the body, especially when it comes to reducing stress and improving mood, right?
Yeah.
And so for our audience who might not be familiar with these neurotransmitters and hormones in the body, could you, clarify them and also let us know what exactly are they and how can they help us to reduce stress and improve our mood?
All right, thank you. Let me start from stress. Whenever we feel stressed, psychologically, we've been made to understand that a neurotransmitter cortisol has been released. So the more stressed I feel, the more cortisol just got released. Now, when it comes to feeling good, which is the goal of well-being relating to exercise, there are some hormones that are linked to exercise. We have the endorphin, the feel-good hormone. Like this morning, I already did a short exercise before having my bed. So the feel-good hormone, it gets to a level in which, let me go practical. I love to dance.
Yeah.
And you can see me listening to music and dancing for as long as 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Now, it gets to a point while dancing in which I feel this such like, oh my God. And I'm so excited. And you might be thinking I just won a jackpot. You see me all smiling like an overfed puppy. Yeah, it actually has a relationship to the number of endorphins that has been released. And some of the exercises that works best with the release of endorphin, like I said earlier, dancing. You see, biking, yeah, does a lot too. And swimming, they do a lot too with release of the endorphin. And then we look at the HGH, that's the human growth hormone. When we exercise, we are in one way or the other pulling our muscles, stretching our muscle. And that has to do with growth. That has to do with flexibility. You can see an individual who has been exercising for a long time, giving some kind of posture, even at 50, of which somebody at 20 can't engage in. That's the beauty of exercise. It gives room for flexibility. And then we look at the testosterone. The testosterone is more in male, but there's also a considerable amount in female. It helps to regulate my mood. Yeah, it helps to regulate my mood. We look at the dopamine. In psychology, we focus a lot on the dopamine and serotonin. When there's a low level of serotonin, research has made it known that it has a lot to do with anxiety, inducing anxiety. So when we exercise, we trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin. And somebody might be asking, how is this possible? How do I know? All right, let's look at the brain as a computer. I plug in the desktop needs to be powered. When I power the desktop, I can see everything going on in the desktop. And I choose to select my preference, my choice. The same thing with exercise. When I'm exercising, there's an increase in uptake of oxygen. Now, the increase in uptake of oxygen helps to relax and like movement in the lungs. Definitely, as there's an uptake in oxygen level, the flow of blood to the brain is now an oxygenated blood. And as the oxygen is going through the pathways to the brain, using an fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, we are able to denote proteins that are released, that moves through, and of which the nerves in the brain get activated in the presence of this protein. And that has to do with a lot of hormones that has been listed. They get activated, and the more they release, the more excited they get.
Yeah, very interesting. I think the technical side of it sort of explains why we get in a state where we feel different afterwards, right? Because I think all these brain chemicals, we cannot see them, obviously. But then I think when we can feel them working, it's kind of like a good reminder, do it, and then you'll feel it in here. And I think that's just so important. So, we mentioned the kind of neurotransmitters and hormones in the body. We know that the chemicals are going to get released when you start exercising, and it's going to help us to combat stress, and, it's going to help us to get into a better mood. But I'm now wondering, is there any caveat? Because there's so many different kinds of exercising, right?
Yeah.
Like for you, you like dancing. For other people, they like running. I personally like going to a Pilates class or a bar class. That's fun for me. Some people like boxing. So, there are so many different ways we can exercise. And I wonder if these different types of exercises will have different ways to impact our mental health and well-being. Because I know the principle is, there are the neurotransmitters and hormones that will be released, but are they released differently when we do different kinds of exercises?
Yes, they are. We are very conversant with the aerobic and the anaerobic exercise. And the research has made us know that when it comes to like the release of virtually all these hormones, then we need to engage in aerobic exercise. And aerobic exercise can be more of outdoor, But if you want to do it indoor, then you should make it look like it's outdoor. We have the jogging, we have the running, the biking, the swimming, the dancing, the boxing, a lot of those. And the anaerobic exercise, we can say is more of indoor. And that's why the effect of meditation in the release of the hormones is different to the release of hormones during aerobic exercise. So to me, it's all linked to your strengths. The individual who wants to engage in the exercise, your strength level, your flexibility level. Don't because of, Lu goes to the gym often, and Abigail says, I want to start hitting the gym, of which my strength level will not permit me. So I need to study my strength level, my flexibility, and my mental health too. Because an individual who is going through anxiety and depression, honestly speaking, jogging can be a stress. Jogging can be so stressful. Running can be so stressful. But when it comes to meditation, it helps to make them feel calm. So it's now, that's what, before I recommend exercise to a client, after clinical assessment, I try to note this client, the strength level at this point, because a psychological disorder has a way of depleting the human strength. So the strength of this individual at this point, can it go through some particular type of exercises? And if it said no, I just tell the individual, don't. It gets to a point, sex is an excellent exercise. But to individuals who are going through major depressive disorder, instead of sex releasing endorphins, it releases cortisol. They feel stressed. It's like an emotional burden to them. So everything has to do with your strength, your flexibility, your mental health. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a caveat that we were talking about, right? Because it's not one size fit all, and it's not like every kind of exercise will bring you the same results. And it really has to do with how you're feeling, particularly because you're right. Sometimes running can be so stressful. Like I like running, but when I'm not feeling great or when I'm not really enjoying the weather, it just stresses me out. And that's the complete opposite of what we want to do when it comes to exercising, right? So, we've talked a lot about the different, benefits, principles, the different chemicals that exercises bring. But some of our audience might still be in doubt, and they might kind of go, I know that it's very beneficial, but I'm still on the fence because, I don't know where to start. I don't know how this is going to help me. And especially, this is what I'm going to have to say, especially when you're feeling down, and especially when you're having a tough period with your mental health. Like I speak for myself. The last thing I want to do is exercise. All I want to do is stay in bed. And so I guess for people that might be going through, phases like that, perhaps it'll be good to explain a little more to them about the brain's reward system, because I feel like this might get them to understand that it can really help them and improve their well-being, even though it's not what they want to do at all, right? So how does exercise actually affect our brain's reward system? And, what are some of the other things that everyone should know so that we can motivate ourselves to get out there and start exercising, or even just start exercising at home as a start?
All right. Thank you. Now, looking at bringing from the perspective of you get so stressed and you might not feel like exercising. To such an individual, I recommend listening to music. And listening to music can be soothing. So it's just about knowing your niche, listening to music. To others, it could be playing with a pet. Playing with a pet feels so relaxing. So I believe these two can help. Now, some of the reward system to the brain on exercise. Let's take a look at our hippocampus in the pituitary gland. Let me give an illustration. Let me assume this is the size of the hippocampus. It degenerates or it gets smaller when there is inadequate or no exercise. And its role is it helps with memory in the temporal lobe. That's the frontal, the parental, the temporal around the earlobe, and the occipital at the back. So it gets small or smaller, and it helps with memory. So what makes it, so one of the things that increases the size, it simply means the bigger the size in normalcy, not out of the ordinary, the more I boost my memory system. So one of the things that helps in 50% is exercise. So when I just keep it at the back of my mind that I want to increase my memory capacity and I need to trigger something to get it released. I don't want to keep forgetting on and off. It makes me want to exercise. And then the next thing I wrote is aging. Exercise helps to reduce aging. Imagine you are always feeling good. You're always smiling. The neurotransmitters are always excited. There will definitely be regular release of proteins needed in the body, which will definitely help to reduce aging. So it simply means instead of spending so much on cosmetics, on this, on that, why not just exercise, then complement it with eat well, stay hydrated always, and then with one or two cosmetic, and I look good. It's good to my skin without any side effect. Another thing I wrote here is a Swedish study proved that cardiovascular fitness can raise your verbal intelligence by 50%. And maybe, just maybe, that's the reason why when I go for public speaking, they're like, Abigail, you held your audience, like you brought them to the center. So it simply means exercise helps to modify the cardiovascular system, keeps them in shape, keeps them good, which has a way of influencing my verbal intelligence. So I don't need to keep cracking my mind. I want to say something. I'm stammering. No, all of that has been dealt with because of exercise. Okay, and exercise strengthens natural pathways. Okay, for memory. That's I already spoke about it. Like just a memory card. When a memory card is filled, it can no longer receive content. So the more exercise I do and my hippocampus is maintained at a regular structure, there's input of new memories, new ones, and maintaining of the memory index. So it simply means I'll have more of long-term memory than short-term memory. Okay, improves the brain cells. Focus. It makes someone focus. Like the distorted thought, the pattern of distorted thought is somehow controlled. It makes you to be a master over your mind. To be a master over your mind. And I think this is actually what pulls a lot of people to anxiety. The inability to be a master over their mind. Their mind keeps speaking and speaking above them, quote and unquote. And one of the things I tell those people is one of the way to work on that is when you are giving out positive affirmation, be verbal, speak out. A way of silencing those thoughts. In louder voice, silencing it. All right, don't let me talk too much. This is some of the reward system.
Not at all. I think you covered some really good insights there, especially, I feel like it's motivating to hear, right? Because sometimes people might have the misconception that exercising is just good for the body. And today we kind of debunk that because, exercising is not just good for your body, your physical health, but also your mental health. It helps you to feel better. Of course, you got to choose the right kind of exercise for yourself. But the cognitive behavior and the reasoning in our brain, that part is also improved. And I can speak to this myself. Like there was a period where I was kind of like, my brain feels a little foggy. I don't know why. And then I started exercising and I feel like my mind is so much clearer. Every time, once I've finished a workout or exercising. And I think like the more we do it, the more we get reminded that it's really important and it's just so helpful. The tricky part is probably getting into it in the first place, right? Because it's always hard to start. So yeah, that's why we have all these questions and have all these things that we wanted to share with our audience to help them understand how important exercise is and how helpful it can be, especially when you don't feel like doing it at all, right?
Exactly.
And so we've covered all the, most of the theoretical part of it. So now let's get into something a bit more practical. I know you mentioned a few strategies before when it comes to, incorporating exercise into our routine, but what would be a practice that you would recommend to everyone in our audience today as a start, so that they can motivate themselves to move their body, especially for those that have not done that in a while, or those who are kind of skeptical, or kind of saying, no, I'm too busy, or no, I really don't want to, I don't feel like doing it at all. Where should they start?
All right. To those who are a lover of music, I would recommend that they can just tune in an alarm that makes them, it could just be an alarm on the phone that comes with a music they love so much, of which when they hear the music anywhere, they tend to shake their body. That alone is good for beginners. Yeah. You see yourself shaking your body, you're washing your mouth, you're shaking your body, you're taking your bed, you're singing, you're shaking your body. And before you know what is going on, such an individual will want to wake early so as to be able to have more time to shake the body. Yeah, that helps. And they could have a friend who will be like, all right, let's keep it. Let's have a goal, focus goal, a target. Okay, we're going to go through a few exercises, and then there should be mutualism, like compromise. This exercise, you love it. This exercise, I love it. Okay, so we're going to maintain that exercise, and I'm going to give you a call. That's to the individual who loves exercise. I'm going to give you a call. Just imagine you giving Abigail a call. I'm like, Abigail. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm still in bed. And he's like, Abigail, I'm already on my exercise mat. Please turn on your video camera. Yeah, it's a motivation. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I'm coming. And then I turn on the video camera and find what is going on. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is gone. Yeah, those two things can help to incorporate. But bringing it to me personally, since I'm an exercise person, what I do and what actually made me become an exercise person is I love positive competition. So while growing, my brother is so huge, muscular, and they say 6 packs. My brother has 8 packs. And then I tell him, what a man can do, a woman can do better. And then that actually makes me like, I'm going to exercise. And then I kept exercising to a point I saw that I was beginning to have broad shoulders. And then I was like, Abigail, please don't engage in this kind of exercise. Limit it to this kind of exercise. So it's more or less having a role model, like having someone you can look up to, and with a goal in mind. Like, I want to be like this person. Yeah. I want to take it a step at a time. Don't rush. A step at a time. The first day can be 2 minutes. It's not bad. It's good for a start. The second day can be still 2 minutes. That's maintaining the same energy. And then when it's going on 5 minutes, 15 minutes, then you're like, wow. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Good tip. Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And before we wrap up this conversation, we would love to invite you to join us in the open mic section. Now, this is your stage. It can be about anything you're passionate about, could be an extension of your professional work if you would like to talk about it. So, yeah, the floor is yours, Abigail. Go for it.
All right, thank you. One of the things I'm passionate about, which has been helping me in relating to well-being, is I always engage in water therapy. Yeah, for over 20 years now, I've been consistent with water therapy. I drink water in the morning, regardless of the time, but it must be before breakfast. So I drink water a lot. I stay hydrated. And it helps to flush out some kind of toxins. It makes me feel light for the day to be able to coordinate. Yeah, another thing is I love to read. Yeah, it could be a blog. It could be anything, but I love to make research, to read. I hate it when I'm in a fix, when someone says something and I'm caught unawares. Yeah, it makes me feel like, at that point, it makes me feel like, Abigail, you don't know anything. So I always love to read, to research, know what's happening. Yeah, know what's happening. I love to take care of my body. I love to take care of my body because before you see my hormones inside, before you see how excited they are, you need to appreciate what you see. So I love to take care of my skin, make use of natural, like what won't affect my skin. I got to study my skin over time, and I noticed that when I go get so expensive cosmetic and all of that, my skin will just be like, Abigail, you're stressing us, just leave us alone. The same thing with my hair. Yeah, I love to look good with my hair because when my hair is untidy, it speaks a lot about my mental health. There is nothing I can use to justify. It speaks a lot about my mental health. And then I love to smile. I could remember when I was in high school, they used to call me laughing gas. And let me just quickly give you a scene that happened, of which whenever I remember, I always laugh. Okay, and then I was in high school, year 1, and I joined in the fellowship unit. I joined those that sing, the choristers. And on that day, on Friday, we were through singing. I never knew that the rope, my fellow choristers, my colleagues, were already filing back to the seats. I was still standing and I was smiling. And they were like, Abigail, laughing God, come on, sit. And I was like, oh my God. So smiling and laughing makes you feel good. Yeah, it makes you feel good. It makes you look younger. Yeah. Don't reflect. Don't always reflect the negative thoughts going through you. Yeah. Don't always reflect it. Because when you smile, even those negative thoughts, those distorted thoughts rather, they have a way of complying to the neurotransmitters being released at that time. So it works for me. And positive affirmation, no matter what's happening, I just tell myself, Abigail, you did this. I blame more of my achievements. Yeah, I dwell on more of my achievements compared to my non-achievements. And it helps for my mental health. Abigail, come on. So and so, yeah, you did this. I'll be like, oh, wow, I did it. Yeah, sure. So by the time I've recorded like 5, 10 positive achievements, come on, I'll feel that surge. I'll feel that strength to do more. The negative, the unaccomplished achievements, I won't let it deter. Yeah, I won't let it deter my focus, my goal, and everything. And to conclude it, I was saying something. Okay, yesterday I was at one of the medium correctional center, and the inmates, the the prisoners, quote and unquote, they were so excited to watch me speak. Why? Because I was transferring the positive energy in me to them. They needed it. Yeah, they needed it with the positive affirmation. With letting them know, I started with telling them that your past brought you here, but your past must not determine your future. So I'm here because of my past, but I can rewrite my future starting now. And to the female inmates or the female prisoners, quote and unquote, I told them, I started with, yesterday is a council check. Tomorrow is a promise note. Today is the only cash you have. So when I know this, I use it wisely. I spend it wisely. I give it my best to make sure that today counts, that today impacts lives, so that tomorrow, when I'm no more, a lot of people will remember and they'll be like, wow, Abigail touched my life, so and so. So all of this keeps me moving. All of these are my day-to-day practice.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's a true testament to who you are as a person, and it's kind of like a sunny personality, I would say. We love your energy, and thank you so much for being here, especially when it comes to moving our body and the impact it has on our mind. That topic was covered beautifully. I think I got reminded today, and I'm so glad I did not cancel that gym session after this. So yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to think about you while I'm working out. And hopefully our audience will continue moving their body, or if someone has not done that yet, this will be a good way for them to motivate themselves. So thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
You have been listening to Doing Well, the Wellbeing Science Insights Podcast, produced by the Wellbeing Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes are available from 10 life management perspectives and can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcasting apps available on your devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, share, and subscribe to our channel so that other people can find it and we can continue to provide quality content. More of our work can be found on our website, we.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Lu Ngo. Thanks for tuning in.